Hi, I'm Dave Gardy for Cybersecurity TV from our studios here near Washington, D.C. for this special presentation in the Compliance Automation Series with SteelCloud. Joining me now is the COO from SteelCloud, Mr. Brian Hajos. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, there's been a lot of talk surrounding SBOM, or Software Bill of Materials, in the last few years or so. You're here today to talk about CBOM. What is CBOM and how does it relate to SBOM?
Well, good question. They're both BOMs, or bills of material. A CBOM is different in that, whereas SBOM is just an inventory of software and software components, CBOM is an inventory of the specification that comes out of the RMF process. CBOM really started probably 4 or 5 years ago with the authorizing official from one of the large government agencies who was frustrated that they went through RMF work, they created this specification of what was approved in RMF, then the application got thrown over the wall to production, and they did whatever they want, and they got back generic reports and assessments that were hard for them to tie back to the RMF process. So, out of that frustration came a concept of shouldn't a specification, a machine specification coming out of RMF allow an organization to implement and assess the specific controls that were approved in the RMF process and then report back in the same format.
Okay, so CBOM is to compliance what SBOM is to security. Is there a way CBOM can have compliance and security work together?
Well, I'll take exception to that I think that we can't separate compliance from security. Compliance is just a foundation for other security matters. The two do go together in that coming out of the RMF process with the ATO, there's a specification of what software has been authorized. Some of that software would be on an SBOM. So typically a subset of the software inventory that would be on an SBOM would be part of the compliance component that would be described in a compliance bill of materials.
Is there a difference? What is the difference between implicit compliance and explicit compliance? And can CBOM play a role in that?
It certainly can. Probably the biggest difference is that explicit is a specification. Mm-hmm. It's specific controls, specific settings, specific inventory, whereas implicit is a general vulnerability scan in which we'll try to find things that look like they may be vulnerable. And this is one of the issues where enterprises spend a lot of money on security because they move from a specification like coming out of RMF, and all they get back is an implicit generalized scan. So what CBOM will allow you to do would be to take the specification coming out of RMF, implement that in production, and then report back an explicit assessment of the controls that were approved, which could be ports and protocols, it could be software stack, certainly all of the CIS and STIG controls and STIG control settings, all those would be explicitly reported back, as well as the POAMS that had been approved.
What can be done to better support the need to get to continuous authorizations?
Well, when you look at some of the things that inhibit going to CATO or continuous authorization to operate, one of the things is automating the implementation of the controls that were defined in the RMF ATO process. So automation, and that's where CBOM can implement those controls. So as they're authorized, they're implemented almost immediately. And the other thing is to ensure in the step 7 of RMF, or in the monitoring stage, is that you're monitoring all the exacting controls that were changed in the CATO process. So again, CBOM, having all the waivers built in, having all the specific controls that were authorized, can deliver back to the ATO process exactly what was approved. And what you create is a kind of a real-time 360-degree link between RMF, production, and reporting back to the RMF ATO process.
And how can Steel Cloud help in the process?
Well, so far we have done the work on the STIG side. So we have fully implemented CBOM for STIGs. So pre-authorization, we automate the hardening process, we produce the compliance as code which is approved, and that's moved right into production, including all of the waivers and POAMS. And then we deliver back through our assessment process, deliver back to the RMF ATO process exactly what was approved, creating that 360-degree link. So we do that today for STIGs, but for the rest of the components of compliance, as I said, things like ports and protocols, software stacks, firewall rules, things of that nature, we're looking to work with customers to add the additional components that they would want to build into a fully automated CBOM process.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate the time you've taken today to explain CBOM, or Compliance Bill of Materials. We've been talking with Brian Hagest, who's the Chief Operating Officer for Steel Cloud. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Gardy for Cybersecurity TV and the Steel Cloud Compliance Automation Series. Thanks for watching.